Hi, folks. The Filipina P here. And today I'd like to talk about something a lot of you have already gone through and a lot more of you are considering. It can be scary, intimidating, and many of you will decide that you just can't bear to do it. I'm talking about letting go of almost every single one of your possessions, everything that anchors you to your current life, and trying something new. But what in the world could make you think of doing such a thing? Well, maybe you're at home one day, huddled by the fireplace, thinking about the blizzard outside and how much you're not looking forward to waking up at the crack of dawn and scraping the ice off of your windshield before hurrying off to work in the gloom. And maybe you decide to watch a little YouTube as you sit by the fire. A video pops up on your feed about the Philippines with some bikini clad Filipina walking on a sunny beach in the middle of October. And the woman in the video is talking about how paradise is within reach if you'll just go for it. You immediately think, yeah, sure, right. There are beautiful women on a tropical island just waiting for my old ass to show up there. Talk about too good to be true. But you watch a few more videos and you hear from people who have actually made it to their version of paradise, and you start to wonder, could it be real? The next day, you talk to this guy at work whose brother took off to the Philippines and married an amazing woman, and you start thinking, if other people are doing it, why can't I? Can I really just step out of my life like a worn out pair of jeans and go put on a new pair on the other side of the planet? What about all my belongings, my house, my friends, my family, my 67 Mustang? How do I get from this reality to that one? Can I really just liquidate my life? Now, the situation is different for every man, but one thing is generally true. The older you are, the more stuff you've accumulated, and the more memories are attached to it. When you're younger, that's often not a problem. You just have a few cherished possessions that you can bring with you. Now, some of you guys have enough assets to keep your homes in the West and also buy a house here too, and you just go back and forth between them. You don't need to worry about storage, maybe just security for your stuff while you're away, so some of this won't apply to you. You can afford to dip your toes in the Philippines, and it's not an all or nothing proposition. It's great to have options like that, so kudos to you if that's your situation. But for a lot of you guys, that's just not possible. Even if you have the money to keep your home, the bother of trying to rent it out while still maintaining it and paying taxes on it just doesn't add up. And it's still full of your stuff, and storing it somewhere isn't cheap either. Then there's the rest of you folks that need to sell everything so you can have a good life here. It makes perfect sense to completely downsize yourself in one place to go live in another. And if you want to live well in the Philippines, it might be necessary to hit the delete button on a lot of your earthly possessions. And here's where it can be particularly scary to imagine giving it all up. The Christmas decorations you've collected for decades, including the little paper angel your daughter made in preschool, or the vintage gun collection that's been on display in your man cave since you've got married all those years ago. Some of you will look around and say, but I love this house and it's all paid for. I raised my kids here. I love the neighborhood. And I don't want to give it all up for some pipe dream in a third world country. But it's your stuff, your comfortable, familiar stuff that's an anchor that's weighing you down and tying you to one spot.
That's all your house is? It's a pile of stuff with a cover on it. If you didn't have so much stuff, you wouldn't need a house. You could just walk around all the time. That's all your house is? It's a place to keep your stuff while you go out and get more stuff. And when you leave your stuff, you gotta lock it up. Wouldn't want somebody to come by and take some of your stuff.
I love Carlin. Rest in peace, George. Now, getting rid of a lifetime of possessions can be intimidating, but I challenge you to walk into your garage or your attic and look at all the stuff you're holding on to. Stuff you never use and probably don't even know where it came from. Like so many other people, you might discover that getting rid of everything is liberating, like letting go of a walker that you never needed in the first place. And what do you actually need? I bet it's not nearly as much as you think. What if you had to reduce your life to the contents of a backpack? Could you do it?
How much does your life weigh? Imagine for a second that you're carrying a backpack. I want you to pack it with all the stuff that you have in your life. Things on shelves and in drawers and knickknacks, collectibles, clothes, tabletop appliances, lamps, your couch, bed, your kitchen table. You stuff it all in there. Your car, get it in there. Your home. I want you to stuff it all into that backpack. Now try to walk. It's kind of hard, isn't it? This is what we do to ourselves on a daily basis. We weigh ourselves down until we can't even move. Now, I'm going to set that backpack on fire. What do you want to take out of it? Let everything burn and imagine waking up tomorrow with nothing. Kind of exhilarating, isn't it?
The most important thing, you might say the only important thing, is finding the life that makes you happiest. Does stuff make you happy? Or can you see yourself even happier in an alternate universe where you don't have to worry about lawn maintenance and property taxes and water bills? Of course, the things you'll miss the most are not your possessions, but your relationships. Some of you don't have much in a way of family left, and maybe not many close friends. That makes your transition even easier. But for those of you with close ties to your children, your best buddies, or other people you value, it can present the biggest obstacle to your leaving. But perhaps there's a solution. One truly good thing to come out of the age of social media is that you can still look into someone's eyes from half a world away. Other than being able to smell the onions on their breath from lunch or giving him a hug, you can still keep in close contact anytime you want. Not only you can determine if that's a price worth paying, but let's say you've given it some thought and considered all the angles. You're gonna have to make a few sacrifices, but you've decided to jettison your old life in search of a better one. What next? Do you need to become a minimalist overnight? Not exactly. The first thing you want to do is cut down on your purchases and not buy anything that's not essential. If it's not something you'd put in your suitcase on the day you leave or something you won't use up before you go, then just put it back on the shelf. Start looking around for people who might be interested in buying some of your expensive stuff, like an RV or any collectibles you might own. Because if you wait too long, you might not be able to get the price you want. But the most important thing to do, as soon as you can, is to physically visit the Philippines if you haven't already. Take a vacation here for as long as you can. A month or more is best, but if all you can manage is a few weeks, that's better than nothing. No matter how many videos you've watched or how much you think you know about the Philippines, there's no substitute for boots on the ground. And I assure you, there's a lot of stuff that'll still surprise you. So please be warned, the Philippines is not the West, in good ways as well as bad. No matter how much money you have, your life will be drastically different. Make sure you can tolerate the weather and the culture and the people. Start in a bigger city like Cebu, and while you're there, check out some of the places you might want to rent short term when you come back. Now, if you decide this is a country you could settle in, then you got some work to do and some decisions to make. But with great risk comes great reward. And in the end, a suitcase with some of your favorite clothes, your wallet, and your passport are all you're gonna need. The ultimate blank slate. But what about your money? Where should you keep it? If I were you, I'd leave my money in my bank in the West because Filipino banks only insure accounts up to 8,600 US dollars. So even though our banking system is pretty strong, depositing the bulk of your assets in Filipino banks might not be the best idea. And you really don't need the banks here. There are lots of ways to access your money through ATMs and by using transfer services like Remitly. Most people eventually do open a small bank account here in the Philippines, but there's really no reason to keep more than a few $1,000s for emergencies and bank transfers from your overseas accounts. And now that you have a plan for your money, what about all that stuff you have back home? Well, everyone's gonna have a different situation. But if you don't want to be bothered with finding a buyer for that workout equipment you rarely used, okay, never used, then one method that gets the job done quickly is to call an estate sale company. They can come out and empty your house down to the floorboards in just a day or two and probably make you a nice little pile of cash in the process. But what about the stuff you just can't let go of? The sentimental stuff like your coin collection or the wrought iron table your dad made you. You either have to leave it with your friends or family or you have to store it somewhere. Yeah, you can ship it to yourself here, but don't plan on storing much once it's in the Philippines. Unlike in the West, we don't have many self storage places because Filipinos don't really have that much stuff to store. Only ship the things you'll actually use. And if you're planning on shipping your car or motorcycle, you might want to rethink that. It's extremely expensive. And by the time you're finished paying the import fees, you might wish you just bought a new one. While it's not particularly dangerous in the Philippines, petty theft is a real problem, which is why you'll often see houses with bars on the windows and glass spikes on top of the walls. So you might want to avoid filling your place with valuable objects that you brought with you. Either store them or sell them on eBay before you arrive. The sad fact is, if you get robbed, it's not like the police here are gonna send a forensic team to lift fingerprints to catch the culprit, and there's a 99% chance you'll never see your stuff again.
They took our TV, 2 laptops, 4 external hard drives, our PS2, our PS3, our Xbox 360. When does the CSI team get here? In anticipation of their arrival, I've bagged some evidence. One of the thieves had the audacity to quench his thirst while ransacking our home.
We're done here. Call this number and we'll fax you a copy of the report.
I'm sorry. That's the end of your inquiry?
I feel you, Sheldon. So, what about your pets? Yes, Fluffy can come with you. You just have to fill out some paperwork, pay a few $100, and she'll be sleeping on a pillow beside you in your new place. Until you find a more interesting bedmate. So if you're the kind of person that's willing to totally reshuffle your life and do without a lot of things you currently take for granted, then this can be the start of the whole new you. You don't need all that stuff anyway, because in the end, people don't remember the things they had. They remember the things they did, the experiences and feelings they had, and the time spent with the person they love. We cherish our memories more than anything else, and you can take the good ones with you wherever you go. Leave the bad memories behind and let the Philippine rain wash you clean. I know some of you have been through hell. You've been lied to and taken advantage of by the very people you loved and trusted. But you know what? The best revenge is being happy and realizing that they actually did you a favor, because now the second part of your life begins and you can make it the best part. And to those people that would say, he's telling people to sell all their possessions and move to the Philippines. Well, no, I'm not. The Philippines certainly isn't all beaches and romance, and it's not for everyone. If you plan to make the jump, do it with eyes wide open, in a time span of months and years, not days and weeks. Do your research and don't listen to just anyone, and that includes me. But if it works out for you, it'll be a transformative experience. As one expat friend of mine put it, I stepped off the plane and I was reborn. I like that. And I'd love to hear your stories of the things you had to give up and the sacrifices you made in order to be here, as well as what you found in return. Share your story in the comment section. And maybe, just maybe, someone who's sitting there shivering in front of their fireplace will read your words and decide to step off that plane too and be reborn. Well, that's it for this episode, but give me just a few more days and I'll have something else for you to think about. Till next time, folks. If you think about it, I'm kind of like your own personal genie. Every week, I fulfill 2 of your wishes when I bring you magical content about life and culture in the Philippines and explain the differences between East and West. If you appreciate my efforts, all I ask is you give a thumbs up on this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell so you can see what I've conjured up next. And if you're really feeling like a generous master, please visit my Patreon page for extra content and exclusive videos and features. And now for that 3rd wish, you have only to ask, and it's my pleasure to make it come true. What did you wish for? Master. I don't think I can do that, and Mrs. Master would not be happy about it.